everyone, welcome back to another Swans cast match preview, where this week, ahead of Swansea versus QPR, I'm joined by Ben from the W12 Podcast. So welcome, Ben.
Hello. Nice to be on.
So, yes, all right. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Ben's here to give us a bit of insight to his team, QPR, and what perhaps we can expect ahead of the game, how their season's been, any dealings they've done so far in the transfer window. Obviously, it's deadline day today, so maybe there'll be some last-minute things that we miss, but we'll try and recap everything from earlier on. So yeah, let's get started with that. So how has your summer been? Any changes that are notable? Anything exciting going on?
Well, we've obviously had a manager change. We obviously had Mark Warburton last season, who, it's funny, if you'd have said sort of February time when we were sort of third, a couple of points off Bournemouth, that he wouldn't be our manager sort of, 3 months later, I would have probably laughed because he didn't really, I don't, he would have had to have done a lot wrong. Funnily,
Yeah,
he actually did do all that wrong, and we ended up, 10th, I think, 9th. So this summer, his contract's run out. So we've got Michael Beale in, who is Steven Gerrard's assistant at Villa and Rangers. He comes highly sought after. He's a youth coach at Chelsea and Liverpool. Villa are having a bit of a Aston Villa are having a bit of a mare at the moment, and half the reason they think is because Beale's gone. So that's the biggest change from our perspective, and obviously we've made 7 signings so far. We got rid of quite a lot of Warburton's boys, if you like. Don Balls, Johan Barbes, Charlie Austin, Andre Gray. Them type of boys, and that they all moved on. So we had a bit of a clean slate, if you like. And we've signed 7 players, so a lot of movement.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had so much movement ourselves. It's probably been a little bit towards the end now, a little bit more towards the normal sort of window, but we were struggling at first. So it's good to see you've had a couple of ins and outs, especially with the managerial change. I did forget though at the start. I promised you literally just before we kicked off that I'd give you the opportunity to plug your podcast, and I forgot to say it. So can you just remind everyone or tell everyone where they could find you on Twitter and maybe your podcast as well?
Yeah, sure. So we're W12 Podcast, QPR related. So if anyone's listening that fancies listening, we have players and we often get the manager and the chairman or stuff like that. So so give us a listen. We're on Twitter and Instagram, W12 Podcast. Just type it in. I'm sure we'll come up on all major streams as well. So yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, looking forward to the game once that. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, I was saying, good you get a chance to talk to some of the players and the club personnel. That was quite interesting.
Yeah. We sort of we know some people within the club, and we know a few ex-players as well. So we've kind of got a few contacts over the last few years. Yeah. So we try and plug into them and get them on. And we don't do it too much because sometimes people just want to listen,
doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And people just want to listen to us sort of talk, but talk rubbish essentially.
Yeah, well, it's what it is, but it makes it something to look forward to then when you do get a big one on. But I'm sure some of the Swans fans listening might go and have a little bit of a browse, see what you're saying ahead of the game on the weekend. Obviously, give us a little preview tonight with this, but if you want more detail, they can go and check out perhaps your podcast before or after to see what you make of the game.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, same. I mean, interesting summer for you then. So you've had a couple of changes, new manager. So how has he got off to the season start? Like, how's it going for you? It looks like your form's not too bad, but maybe
it's not too bad. It's difficult because we lost a lot of experience, and we've brought in players, but they've not really been fully fit. We've brought in 2 fullbacks in Nathan Laird from Manchester United on loan, who's really good, and Kenneth Powell, who we got from Holland, PSV, on left side. Yeah. Which have been really good. We've got Jake Clark-Salter in centre back, who was at Coventry last season, but he's been injured. We've just brought in Liam Balogun from Rangers. He was sort of played for Rangers. Played in their semi-final of their UEFA Cup last season. So we're looking forward to seeing him, but he's not fully fit yet. We've brought in Tyler Roberts up front from Leeds on loan, but he's not fit. He hasn't been fit either, so that's been frustrating. We've just brought in a lad. I'm not even going to attempt to say his surname. but he's a young lad from Aston Villa who's been on their bench. He's had a couple of appearances. Bill using his contacts from Villa. Tim Arogabanam. Some people might. Yeah, he's supposed to be really good. So I'm
I
not
had
sure
a look beforehand. I couldn't say it either, so don't worry about it.
No, I'm not sure he'll play on Saturday, but he's another one who we've brought in. And we've brought in a lad from Brighton called Richards, and he hasn't been fit either. So it's been difficult for him. We've had Chris Willock, who's also been injured, and he's coming back into the team. So he's had a real tough start, really, in relation to players available. But we've had a pretty last 2 or 3 games. We've sort of getting everyone back fit, and we've been much better. We've won 3, drew 2, lost 2, and we've had 2 wins on the bounce. Now we beat Watford away 3-2 at the weekend, and we beat Hull at home 3-1 on Tuesday night quite comfortably. So things are starting to take shape, I think, and I think as the season goes on, I think we're going to get stronger and stronger once these players all come back in.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, you mentioned Ethan Laird there. We know all about him, obviously. He was with us last season for first half of the year, so he was strong for us, and quite funny, actually, you beat Hull, obviously, you mentioned in the last game. Their right back, Cyrus Christie, was our other right back for the other half when Ethan Laird got recalled. Both
he
of
looks
them
really
now.
good, mate. That Ethan lad, he's lightning.
And do you know what? It's the position that we need to strengthen in, and we just can't. We can't get anyone in. We're so desperate for a right back.
Who's your right back? How's Ryan Madden getting on?
He's doing well. I mean, he's obviously on the left, but he's been pretty good. I do find him I find he can be a bit of a liability sometimes. Sometimes he's not the smartest with some of his actions, and
he's a bit erratic, isn't he?
I think he's a bit erratic, a bit cocky and overconfident sometimes in the way that he's playing. So you'll casually do a pass, and it's like, obviously, the way we play is passing based. And it'll go astray, and all of a sudden the team's in, and there's been quite a few goals that come from that. Or he put in a challenge when he's on a yellow card that just doesn't need to happen. But otherwise, he plays well. It's just he's got those moments that can change matches.
Yeah, I mean, I expect we play 4-3-3 at the moment, which we play quite heavily with the fullbacks, and we have a quite deep number 6, if you like. So I expect that the fullbacks will be your fullbacks and our fullbacks will be pretty. Will have a pretty influence on the game.
Yeah, which concerns me because maybe the left side, Ryan Manning, he's done well, but Soranola has a good game. Our right back currently, he's on loan from, I can't remember the club, but he played with Russell Martin and MK Dons. He's done quite well in the last game, but other than that, he's had quite a tricky start to the season. We were playing Joe Latabodia right back, and he has got a long-term injury now, so we don't have any cover there really. Obviously, we've got Carl Norton, but he's more of a centre-back these days. So depending on what formation he plays, we are a little bit short there. So, I mean, if Soranola can go and play where he played as well as he played in the last game against Stoke, that's good. We're going in the right direction, but it could easily go back to the form he showed for most of the games, and there's a little bit of a area that perhaps you can target and we're going to struggle in. So one to watch for sure. It's just it's sad to see these players that we had on loan last year doing well elsewhere when it's a position we haven't fixed. That's watch him come down here and score now, led or win a penalty or something.
Did he leave you? Was it to Bournemouth he went? He went somewhere else, did he?
Yeah, so he got recalled by Man United and they sent him to Bournemouth. I think they wanted him to play higher up the table. These things happen. I guess we did it with Conor Gallagher a couple of years ago, so we can't complain.
I think Saturday the game will hinge on sort of Chris Willock and Ilias Chair our end, because they're really in form at the moment again, and they're I think they're probably 2 of the better number 10s in the league. So they've scored. They both, either one has scored pretty much every week this season. So we heavily rely on them because we don't have a great foot. It's harsh, but we've got Lyndon Dykes up front, and he's not great, and he's not in great form, and he missed an open goal on Tuesday night. But he does a lot of the doggy work for those 2, so he's sort of splitting. He's a bit of a handful. He's a big lad, so he kind of gives them a bit of freedom. So I mean, if you guys keep them quiet, you'll have a good chance of winning. But if you can't, then give them a bit of space.
Well, I'm sure that the idea will be to keep the ball rather than keep them quiet. That's what we seem to do. But the problem is if you've got these guys pressing us quite well, they're quite quick from what I recall.
Yeah.
So the transitional counter attack is where we concede most of our goals. So if they get the ball middle of the pitch, for example, or we're playing around with the back four and lose the ball in that sort of area, we struggle to reset basically. And if your guys are fast and breaking through and can be quite efficient with their passing, that's where your opportunities are definitely going to come from. So it is a bit of a worry for me that you've got two guys with a bit of pace that are in form. It'd be a challenge definitely for our back line to deal with, but hopefully they can rise to that challenge. Okay. You've already kind of mentioned some of your players. I was going to ask you who are the ones that we need to look out for, but I'd imagine it is those two then.
I'd say it was the four I've mentioned probably, which would be the two fullbacks in Powell and Nathan, Ethan. Keep them Nathan, Ethan Lard, and obviously the two lads up front, Ilias Chair and Chris Willock. Yeah, I mean, another one that that one to watch is a young lad. He's sort of 18, 19 off the bench called Sinclair Armstrong. He's in the Ireland under 21s, 19 and 21s, and he's lightning quick as well. And he's been causing defences all sorts of problems when he's come on. We're just dying for him to get that goal. He's missed a few chances, but once he gets that, I think he's going to take off. And he's Man City and Liverpool are sort of floating in. Like,
there's something in it then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's not going to be there for long, I don't think. But he's just a bit raw at the moment, and you'll see, if he comes on, you'll see what I mean. He just flies into tackles, and he's just a bit of a nutter, really. Him and Manning.
Sometimes a bit of raw talent like that is what you need, though, to turn a game. So you can use it well. Then it can be definitely beneficial for you. It reminds me of like Dan James when he came through for us. We only really had the one season of him in the first team. And he was definitely still raw even when he went to Man United, but he had that moment of magic in him sometimes. But then you just know he couldn't always finish the ball, like he would hit it straight to the keeper quite often. But I think he's still having those sort of issues, to be fair. So maybe that's just him. But okay, let's look at this weekend's game. Who from Swansea are you mostly worried about, first of all?
Your two strikers concern me. Is it Pyro? Pyro, is it?
Yeah, Pirro and Obafemi, but there might not be two of them by Saturday. So,
yeah, I mean, every time they look good, and he looks a good forward. Is it Pyro? Did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, Pirro.
Yeah, Pirro. Yeah, he looks good. I think he scored against us last season as well. So I'm a bit worried about him. And you've got Grimes. He's a good player, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, I don't
know how he's getting on.
He's one of them divisive players that like. He is a good player as a captain, and he does a lot of work in the middle. But because the way we play is passing and short passing, and he's the guy that's kind of there to spread the ball out, he does get some stick from some people saying he can only pass sideways, but depends how you understand what's going on, I guess. But he is definitely a solid player, yeah.
You've got Joe Allen there, haven't you? How's he getting on?
Yeah, he's actually made a good impact since he's come back. He's kind of hit the ground running a little bit in the league. Brought a bit of experience, and it's weird to say for someone that's a bit older, but a bit of energy, or probably like the right energy in terms of like he knows where to spend it, and it makes a difference on the pitch. Whereas somebody perhaps a little bit more inexperienced wastes energy where they don't need to. So he's making an impact in the middle, definitely.
Right. And you've got Patterson as well. We were after him, weren't we, in January? We thought we were going to get him. We desperately needed him, desperately, and that was not putting it all on that, but. Had we brought him in, I think we would have been better, because we ended up bringing Jeff Hendrick in on loan because we couldn't get him, and he wasn't great.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm not sure really.
He's still up contract, is he next year?
No, he signed a new contract afterwards. Like in the summer, he signed a new deal, but
did he?
Like, it was obviously a weird situation with all the stuff that happened in January. Not really sure what instigated it really. If it was someone throwing their toys at the pram, agents. I don't know, a bit weird. But anyway, they seem to have sorted it out. He's signed a new contract, I believe. Not sure how long for. But he hasn't really been like he started the season so well for us last year when he came in. He was a bit quiet in the second half of the season after the whole thing in January. He wasn't awful, but he was a bit quiet, and he's not really done anything this year so far either. So it's one of them where he got the new club last year. came out flying, and he was one of our best players. And then he started kicking up a fuss about his contract, and now he's just not really doing much. So read from that.
It's always the way,
Maybe you missed a bullet there. I don't know. I'm not saying he's awful. Like, obviously, he still plays, but it's not like I can say, oh yeah, Patterson's going to go and create something to change the game this weekend, because I haven't seen him do that this season yet.
Fair enough. You've also got obviously Ryan Manning there, yeah. So we know a lot about him, but he's got a good left foot, hasn't he? And he'll be up for it.
Yeah, I think you've highlighted the main threats. So how do you see this game panning out? Like, how do you think QPR are going to set up and approach?
We'll go for it, really. We won't. You won't see us sit. Well, I mean, you'll have a lot of the ball when it might feel like we're sitting back, but I don't think that won't be how we play. I.e., just sit back and sort of soak it up. We will try and play, and we'll try and get on the ball. And if the counter attack is, we've got Watford on the counter attack quite a lot, and scored all 3 of our goals off a counter attack. So so we can certainly do that. I mean, it's difficult, man. I think, I had you as I tipped you at the start of the season as a sort of
a lot of people did.
You and Preston, yeah. So I thought you'd be a bit better, but I'm sure maybe once you get going, so just hope that that's not Saturday. But I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for a 1-0 QPR, mate.
We should have won a couple of games that we should have won against Stoke, and we should have won against Millwall, and 4 points puts us in a much better place in the table in its current standing. There's been too many late collapses for us this season, so we just can't seem to see games out. And that actually was last season as well. The end of last season, there was quite a few. So there's a trend that seems to be there under Martin. I'm not sure how he's going to address it, but he needs to find a way. A lot of people tipped us to have a good season. We didn't really improve the squad. We did get people in and improve areas, but we also lost, like I said, the wing backs we had on loan, and we had Hansable from the left, for example, who was left wing back but pushed on quite a bit and was good going forward. So as much as we improved in centre back, we lost in those areas and we're struggling to score. So in terms of the full package, people tipping us to be higher this season. We haven't improved the team, at least at this point. So it's difficult. I can understand why we maybe struggling a little bit. Russell Martin has been talking about that a little bit in his interviews and not having the players that he needs, essentially. But that's always the case when it's going wrong, isn't it? That's always what they say. So we'll have to wait and see. We need to change it soon, or it's going to start turning sour and be a difficult season, I think. It's coming to that sort of time.
I do follow a Swansea fan online, and you're always complaining about the site, like the amount of passes you do. It's always the most in every week, isn't it? The amount of passes that you do. But the end product's not always there, is it? We had that in the Warband quite a lot.
Yeah, so it's like 75% possession, but you were only making the same amount of chances as the team with 25%. Then what's the point, is what I think a lot of people are saying, which, is understandable. But we'll see. We had a bit more.
Yes.
That's the idea. But the problem is, even though we've got the ball and they haven't, those small periods they have got the ball, they're still doing the damage at the moment.
Yeah,
that's the issue. So, and we're not doing any damage with all of the ball. But you said that you perhaps are going to go for it and not sit back. So that might actually suit us a little bit more than the teams that come and just sit back. But we'll see.
We will see. I
don't really want to see.
You never know, do you? Because if you've got a lot of the ball, when you end up sort of camped in, you go 1-0 down or 1-0 up early. I don't know. That sometimes can take the game a little bit, can't it?
Ultimately, the first goal has been so important for us this season. So I don't think we've won a game from behind, and we rarely come back to draw this season from behind. Whereas when we go ahead, I would say we usually win, but we don't at the moment, which is not losing, but we can even go 2-0 up and you can score 2 right at the end of the moment. But as long as we score first, we look a lot better than if we don't, is what I'm saying. If you score first, in my head, it's kind of done based on how we've been going.
Yeah.
But it's so important, the early goal. Okay, but I think we've got everything we need to from this chat. So I would like to say thanks for coming on. Been a really good conversation. Would you like to remind everyone where they can find you, perhaps on Twitter and your podcast again, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, W12 Podcast. Just type it in on Twitter. I think the handle is W12 Podcast. It's on Instagram, Facebook, on all platforms. We had a good chat with Les Ferdinand the other week, which was a good one. But yeah, we just talk everything QPR. So I think we're doing our pod tomorrow night tomorrow night. So yeah, give it a listen.
Nice. I do get some stories from someone that I know who knows Paddy Kenny, so I get some interesting stories. I have heard some stuff from his time at QPR, so that's all good fun and games. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Go check out W12 Podcast. Get some of that insight from the players and the managerial side when you speak to them. And see what they're saying about us as well. But yeah, well, not us, but the Swans. Thanks for coming on again, and we shall perhaps speak to you later in the season. And good luck for Saturday, but not too much.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. I'm up in Wales on Saturday, so hopefully won't be too rainy. It's wet, isn't it?
I haven't seen the weather forecast, but it's been all right lately. But I guess the rain's on its way back, especially now going into the winter. So maybe it'll be a sign if it comes Saturday. But
cool.
yeah, enjoy the
Cheers
match,
for having me on.
I shall catch you again.